Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God, and every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. 1 John chapter 4, verses 1 through 3. So this is my 1999 Astro van, and I have a rear AC line that is leaking. So there's a couple of connections towards the front of the van that unscrew. Connections are right here, and they require well, the ones I used were 20 millimeter, 24 millimeter, 1 1/16, and 1 1/4 to get those open-end wrenches to get those loose. And then there's a couple of retainer screws. There are probably 4 or 5 of them actually. Those look like that. And there's another one. But the real problem is at the other end. It's this block here. And I removed this nut, which goes on there, which I believe is a 10 millimeter. But I cannot get that block loose. It seems to be corroded, the aluminum to the stud. And so my thought here is I'm going to cut these 2 lines, because that's all mounted in rubber, so it's really hard to get, you know, a lot of force on it. So I'm going to cut these 2 lines, and then I'm going to try to take that block up through the hole. It looks like there may be enough room to do that. And you also notice these 2 bolts here. One there, and then there's another one right up there. And those were covered in rubber, like that one over there is. Easier to see there. And when I pulled that rubber off on the other one, there's a nut that's visible. And so I had tried to take those nuts out of the top side, but they kept spinning, and so now I got to try to find a way to hold those nuts so I can get that bolt out, or both of those bolts out. But that will allow me to pull this out from the top side. So I had to pull that trim piece out to expose the rear AC module here, and those 2 bolts that I was showing you from underneath. Here's one, and there's the other one. I think there was a bolt up there that I took out, and then I think there might have supposed to have been an attachment back here somewhere, but haven't found that one yet. So anyway, so my thought is I'm going to pull this whole unit out, and along with that block underneath, and then when it's exposed, I'll be able to cut that block off of there and hopefully still reuse the evaporator. So I pulled the rubber off of that other one, and that nut is still beneath the floorboard, so I should be able to get that one, get a socket on that one, and then get it loose, hopefully. But the other one I'm going to have to try to force back through the hole, I think, to come, because the nut is inside the hole. So that's the bolt I was able to get out of the one side. here, and it looks like the nut may just come through that hole without being taken off. Judging from the size of the hole. So I'm going to just leave that one in there because I can't get a hold of the nut on the bottom side. So I'm going to cut the pipes and see if I can just pull it out with it still in. And this is the tool I'm going to try to cut the pipes with. I don't have a sawzall or anything, so I'm going to try to do it this way. Hopefully I'll be successful. Okay, so that worked pretty well. I cut through those pipes pretty easily. Aluminum is pretty soft. Okay, so the missing piece of the puzzle here is, I think that screw will come out without getting that nut out of there, but there is a bolt right back in there. Just to give you a broader perspective where that is, and that's probably the one that's holding out. And when I get that off, it should come right out. So that indeed was the trick, taking that last bolt out. So now I have access to the block, and there's these rubber washers here that surround the bolt to kind of provide a seal through the holes. You can see that one's still in place there, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to find new ones for that or not, but so I didn't really think about it, but it was really quite easy. Just pull the rubber piece off and then you have access to both the nut and the bolt. So I'm going to remove that. So I just worked those two rubber washers right back into those holes, and looks like the screws will just go through, and I may go ahead and put a washer on the back side of those and maybe another rubber washer underneath just to make it a little more secure. But that's how that goes together. Alright, so I did finally get that loose. It was not easy. The primary things I used were this cutoff wheel, and I used it to make the first incision kind of up to there so I didn't run into this piece, and I didn't want to run into the stud. So then I switched over to that thing, and in combination with that drill bit, all driven off of my electric drill, I was finally able to get it off of there. And so I ended up cutting almost all the way through both sides in order to get it off. I mean, it's still connected there a little bit, but and I periodically hammered on it and banged it. I didn't really try to do much prying on it because I didn't want to damage, the mating surface there. So because I was hoping to save that and reuse it. So anyway, not pretty, but it works. Okay, so I tried to clean up those sealing surfaces, as best I could. Used a copper brush and some 600 grit sandpaper. So hopefully they will seal. So I decided to add a couple of copper washers in place of that rubber piece that I had taken off, and that way those nuts won't go up through the floorboard. So anyway, that's what I decided to do. Those are just washers from the bottom of a toilet tank, so they have a copper color to them. And I did have a little bit of challenge getting the new pipes in, but mainly I lined up the screw-on ends on the front, and then kind of routed the pipe generally where it's supposed to go, and then attached this one. And I didn't tie it down to any of the tie points along the way. I figured I'd do that after I got everything bolted up. But the truth will be whether it leaks or not.